Arsenal 2-1 over Wolves in the Premier League. We just managed to scrape over the line thanks to 2 own goals. It was job done in the end. However, it was not pretty and there's a lot to talk about. It's relief more than anything. It's relief. Let's get into it. This is the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. Welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal. Rav here, as always, your host. How is everyone today, wherever you are in the world? Thank you for tuning in. I hope you are as relieved as I am. I'm recording this just a few minutes after the final whistle. It's a Melbourne Sunday morning here. What to even say about that? Like, it's just, it's not often I do these instant reaction style videos, and this is going to be one of the rawest one of them because it was not a great performance from Arsenal. What we came for, what we wanted is the 3 points, and we've got it. If you look at it in that regard, well, it's job done, isn't it? Because we just need to win. We need to bank these points after, I wouldn't say it's been a bad Premier League run the last 4 or 5 matches. However, when you look at the nature of some of those fixtures, that we've had some tough away games. We've gone to Sunderland, gone to Chelsea, gone to Aston Villa. Would have been great to convert one of them into a victory, but we haven't won. We haven't won for a while. It felt that's what I'm getting at. And let's be completely honest. If you want to win the Premier League, which Arsenal absolutely do, you have to win these matches. You absolutely have to. 3 points against the bottom placed side. It's essential. It's not something Arsenal have been able to do, though, in seasons gone past. For those of you who listened to my prior recording, and when I did a little segment, a preview of this match, I referenced that home match to Southampton a couple of seasons ago when Arsenal, that was the season that we kind of were title contender out of nowhere, which no one really anticipated, and perhaps even within the club, there was a resignation. There was an understanding that from a mentality point of view, an experience point of view, that we weren't quite ready because we didn't handle that match against Southampton when they were placed bottom well at home. We were nervous from the start. There was a mistake from Ramsdale, the Theo Walcott goal, all that stuff, and we managed to scrape a draw late, but couldn't convert that into 3 points, which proved very, very costly as our season fizzled out then. So the only reason I mention that is that in similar circumstances, you can't drop points here to Wolves. Statistically speaking, from what I've read, Wolves are the worst performing Premier League side in quite some time, and it looks like they're headed towards relegation. You can't give them their first win of the season. You can't even give them a point here. It'll be detrimental to Arsenal, and we know the narrative that awaits. In fact, it's probably happening right now as I speak, because as I mentioned, I've headed straight outside to record this. I haven't watched any of the post-match stuff or seen anything online. So I imagine the narrative would be that, look, this once again shows that Arsenal are nervous, that maybe we're not ready again. 3 second place finishes in a row, or, do Arsenal know how to win? Does Arteta know how to win? Why are we inviting pressure so late in a home match when we should be able to see it through? All that stuff. And maybe by the time that you're listening to this, you become aware of that narrative, because there are people waiting for Arsenal to stumble and fall. And what I've really enjoyed mostly is that Arsenal are answering so many of these questions so far. But then we get to this match, and I've got to be honest, I don't really think we deserve to win. Am I glad we won? Of course. Did we get what we wanted? 3 points? Absolutely. However, when you look at the team, look at the caliber of the team that was named, look at the quality on the bench. This was a very poor performance, very unusually poor, uncharacteristic. And I know that you can apply all the valid points. You can put all the valid points put forward. How hectic the schedule has been. It's been unrelenting for the players. We've had so many injuries. Of course, you can apply all of that, even correctly pointing to those things. Still, though, it doesn't quite explain how bizarre a performance this was. The first half, we didn't even register a shot on goal. Even one more thing I should put forward here before someone screams at me in the comments is the Wolves' tactics. Look, we knew it would be one of the lowest, dirtiest blocks that we've seen at the Emirates, well, since last season, I guess. But we knew there'll be time wasting, that tactical fouling, they'd go down at every opportunity. The faking injuries was pretty embarrassing, really, pretty pathetic. But, this is the kind of flopping around this is the nature of the Premier League, right? They had their eyes set on the draw from the first whistle. So even if you apply all of that to not really have much to talk about at half time, to have no clear-cut chances on goal, no shot on target. In fact, the best chance of the match, I would say the best few opening chances of the match fell to Wolves. There was that one counter-attack where Huang, who seems to have a bit of success against Arsenal. I'll come to him later in a moment. His foul, I know it's a talking point. But, he should have scored that. He should have scored. He had a number of Arsenal players scampering back, and I think Timber was first to get there. He's put his body into Huang, and maybe it's put him off the shot. It was a pretty tame shot in the end, and thankfully Rai is there to finish. But we were caught out. We were so high. There was no one back there at the centre circle either. I'm not sure where Raya was positioned. Normally he comes out to sweep those things up. So the best chances fell to Wolves. It was really odd, really, really strange from an Arsenal point of view that we didn't have anything on target to speak of. Yeah, we had the players there to do it. I thought Saka was a constant threat throughout this match, as he quite often is. Gyökeres, I don't think he had many touches in the first half, but we know that's the nature of his profile. Eza, I thought, was just drifting. This was a real opportunity for Eza back in that floating midfield role, being able to roam around in front of him, unlock these low blocks with his creativity. It's one of the reasons he was bought for, along with Gyökeres, to be able to unlock the key crucial goal in these types of fixtures. So we didn't really see much, unfortunately. Martinelli faded as well on the left. Across the board, it wasn't a great performance. There wasn't much cohesiveness to it. And once again, I'll put another valid point in, is that every match we seem to have so much chopping and changing that it is difficult to flow with that momentum and to have those relationships, that connectivity when there's so many players coming in and out. So I understand all of that, absolutely. Still, though, it was just a disappointing first half, the type of first half that you never really want to talk about again. But here I am talking about it. And it's in these types of matches, as we know, that you got to get the first goal, because the longer and longer the match goes on and drifts, that the more and more hope you give to the opposition, that the deeper they sit, the more time they waste, the more they look for the fouls and the stoppages just to really disrupt the performance of Arsenal. And in that respect, it was kind of going to plan for Wolves. It was really working for them. And I think full credit to them. Whatever their tactics were, whatever the plan was, that it was effective. I haven't mentioned the lineup as yet, so now's probably a good time to do so. Arsenal were boosted by the return of Saliba back into the starting lineup, Declan Rice, Yuri Timber. That was fantastic. And then I looked at that bench, and I cannot remember the last time I saw a bench with that much strength and depth and options on there. Of course, we know Jesus has been back for the last few matches, but Trossard was named back on the bench today. But in addition to them, we had the likes of Waneri, Madueke, who had an excellent game midweek. So we had options all throughout. It was brilliant. I was surprised, I must say, to see Lewis Skelly named on the bench and not start at left back, because we all knew Calafiori was suspended. So I largely thought it was a given that Lewis Skelly would be left back for this. So I'm not aware if he had a knock or an injury that prevented him from starting. Again, because I'm recording this so soon after the match, I haven't seen any quotes, so you can all correct me. However, it was a surprise that White has played again, the amount of minutes he has played after being out for so long and returning from injury. And with all the other injuries we've had in defence, unfortunately, the flow-on effects, the consequences are that you then run the risk of playing others into the ground. And in hindsight, I do wonder, and I'm sure Arteta is going to be questioned about it. He might be being questioned as I speak, actually, is that why did Ben White start this match? We could have had Timber at right back. You could have had Saliba and Hincapié as your centre halves and Lewis Skelly as left back. And unfortunately, in that sprint I mentioned before when we were chasing Huang, White has pulled up. It looks like a muscle injury. It looks like, I think he was pointing to his hamstring. All the warning signs are pretty bad. All those red flags suggest that this is going to be a little lengthy absence again for White. Just another match where we can't escape without another injury, especially in defence. They seem to come in clusters. And it's a real worry. It's a real sour note. I mean, there's no other way to dress this up. And I'd have to say, from my viewpoint right now, looking at it, was it entirely preventable? Yeah, I guess it's just some hard questions that we're going to be pondering on for a while, and I'm sure Arteta is going to have to address that. So Elsewhere, the lineup was pretty much as expected. Gyökeres as the centre forward, Martinelli on the left, Saka on the right. So it was a really strong lineup. And I liked that because you can't take anything for granted. I mean, Arteta quite often talks to these sorts of points that nothing is given. You have to earn the right to win every single match. And even though it's Wolves and they're only on 2 points at the bottom of the table, he's still named basically his strongest lineup possible with an array of first team senior players on the bench to change the match if we needed to. So that was the message, that you just got to go out there and still do it. You still need your best players out there to do their thing. Probably for that reason as well, he's played Zubimendi again. He started Zubimendi instead of Norgard or playing with Odegaard and Eza in midfield. So it was the message sent there on the team sheet to go out there and show what we're made of. Unfortunately, it didn't quite go to plan, did it? The second half was a lot better from Arsenal. We started so much stronger. I did wonder, are we going to see some changes at halftime? Maybe many of us just assumed that we would. I thought that he'd make a couple of changes at halftime, especially because with White's injury, as unfortunate as it was, what it also means is that you use one of your substitution windows. You only get 3 opportunities per match, and we'd burnt one of them, unfortunately, with the White injury. Making a change or two at halftime, it would have freed him up to assess the second half and respond if need be. But as it turned out, he gave them a few minutes to open with, and the energy was there. The crowd were right up for it. We were moving the ball with more intent. That was one thing lacking in the first half, the speed, the intensity of our movement. It was very slow and stodgy, and quite a scrappy sort of performance. But, whatever you said at halftime, they went out there and they responded, and the crowd responded too. You could see the energy just completely lift. So it wasn't until, though, there was around the 63rd, 64th minute where we got our first shot on target, an excellent shot by Rice, well saved by their keeper Johnson with his left hand, kept us out. So on paper, it doesn't look great, does it, that we've taken the best part of an hour or a bit longer to register our first shot on target? The changes did come. Zubimendi was one who came off. I was surprised to see that, but maybe that was pre-planned because of the amount of minutes that he's played. So I thought Marino would come on for Gyökeres, Odegaard for Eza, and Trossard for Martinelli. I think many of us expected that as well. That was fine. So we reshaped our position as well. It looked like Marino was playing a little bit closer to Gyökeres than what a traditional 8 would do. So that's another new thing that we can play with and deploy with the amount of options that we now have with players returning back into the squad. The energy was there, and we were moving the ball. We were moving the ball better. So that was very pleasing. We just couldn't quite find that end product. It finally did, though, come. It came from a corner from Saka. Now, I know there's been a question mark that was there an offside in the build-up to that, to the corner being conceded, but you don't often see those things. You don't often see those things come back to be retrospectively given. So in that respect, maybe Wolves are a bit hard done by, but you still got to defend the corner. Saka swung one in. In fact, was it almost going in? I think it may have. So one replay, one angle, I showed that it was going to go in, but it's flicked the fingertips of their keeper, gone off the post, and then come back off the back of his head. I jokingly call that the Emi Martinez own goal, referencing that funny moment from a few seasons ago away at Villa Park when it's rebounded off that Jorginho shot. But you got to take it. Yeah, it was relief more than anything. You could just see a sense of relief amongst the players, amongst the fans. Teta celebrating on the bench and the coaches and the substitutes. It was relief, and that was my reaction too. I was just like, finally it's gone in. And sometimes you don't care how they go in. It doesn't have to be pretty or perfect. It all counts as a goal. And I guess it gets chalked down as a set-piece goal, but it's an own goal as well. And maybe that just speaks to the nature of just what a bizarre game this was, that the only way we found the back of the net is through 2 own goals. So as frustrated as I am with the next 10 or 15 minutes of this match after scoring, have to give credit to Wolves as well. And that they really sensed something. You could see it amongst the players and amongst their manager. He made a number of changes too. They sensed they could get something from this match. They sensed that Arsenal were gettable. Maybe they can come away with a point. And to their credit, they almost did. As I said, they made a number of changes, including the forward who scored. I'm sorry if I'm going to mispronounce his name. Akadare, I believe his name is. My apologies if I've got that wrong. He's a big boy. He's a big unit. You could just see the size, the imposing figure he has from a physical point of view. When he was standing there on the pitch alongside Hincapié and Saliba, who were not short themselves, not at all. but this guy just had a stature about him. And I had a feeling that they were going to throw crosses into the box. And, teams have had some success there of late. And we saw it late against Sunderland in injury time. So maybe this is just something for Arsenal to ponder. Like as the game goes deep and deep and fatigue takes over, do we need to shore up that part of the pitch maybe with another substitution or something? So look, it's I saw this goal happening. I got to be honest, I was really, really frustrated when this went in because we had no real reason to sit so deep. I don't know why. I can't imagine that was tactical. I can't imagine that was by instruction from Arteta. He would look for the second goal. He'd look for the killing for the killing touch. And so often this season we've been able to find it. We were looking for it, by the way. There's a couple of chances just before. I should mention this actually. A few half chances that we could have some regrets by just before Martinelli came off. Was it a shot or was it a pass? It looked like more of a shot to me when he's done some great work to get in on the left. He tried to round the keeper at the back post, but as it turned out, Gyökeres was there for a tap-in. He just couldn't quite find him. We had a few half moments. Trossard as well. Saka on the stretch couldn't quite reach one on his right foot for a tap-in. We were looking for that second goal but couldn't find it. And as we all know as Arsenal fans, when you leave yourselves vulnerable, you sometimes get punished to the maximum. Now, in this play, though, for Wolves, we had a number of chances to clear properly, but we couldn't quite find that meaningful clearance to get the ball out of the danger because we were sitting so deep. We didn't have that out ball either. It was an excellent cross whipped in, and the striker that I just mentioned, he's powerful, just gets one flick on it. He kept Hincapié off him with ease, unfortunately, and it's just rifled into the goal, and I was really frustrated. I think I scared my wife and sons with my reaction. I got off the couch and I was quite angry. Not surprised though. I was angry because I saw it coming. I saw it telegraphed. 30 years of watching Arsenal, and I think we all carry some Arsenal-related traumas at times. And I saw that coming. I saw it in the build-up. The 5, 6, 7 minutes prior to that, we were almost inviting them to come play, to come have a shot, see if you're good enough to get a goal. And it was bizarre. It was really bizarre and completely unnecessary. And in hindsight, there are a number of things in this match that I don't ever want to talk about again. Maybe this is one of those matches that you just bank the 3 points, bin it, pretend it never happened and move forward. However, there are some things, some hard truths, unfortunately, that the players and Arteta are going to have to reflect on. And it's moments like that can cost you a match, that can cost you points. And in this league, points is everything. Just a bad couple of results like this can make all the difference at the end of the season when you're looking at that table and being pipped by just a couple of points again. Like the margins are so fine that we're going to have to take some hard lessons from that. Now, thankfully, the reaction was there. It was 6 minutes. That was 6 minutes of injury time. So we had a few minutes up our sleeve to go up the other end. And once again, it was Saka who made things happen. Jesus has come on, who looked lively, looked sharp again. I got a great reception from the Emirates faithful. That was fantastic for him. And you saw the intent from Arsenal to go up the other end and find the winner. And my first reaction was that it was a winner. It was from Jesus. As it turned out, it was another own goal. And there was a bit of poetic justice to this. Mosquera, the Wolves Mosquera, who scored that own goal. I remember him from that choke slam a couple of seasons ago against Havertz. Said he didn't even receive a yellow. That was disgusting. That was a disgusting act of violence. That you can't grab someone by the throat, slam them to the ground. And there was even that bizarre moment a few minutes after in that match where he was trying to move Jesus to take a free kick, but with the way he's placed his hands right up Jesus's backside, it was just bizarre. Like do that in any workplace anywhere else and see what happens. That was misconduct. That was so inappropriate, and he escaped somehow any sanction at all. So here, I'm not, as much as I would have loved the goal to be credited to Jesus, and I think many in the crowd gave him that sort of adulation, that acknowledgement that it was from him. Many wouldn't have known it was an own goal, of course. I didn't until I saw the replays, that maybe there's a little bit of poetic justice that it was Mosquera who gets credited. So in the end, it was two quite decent finishes from Wolves players. I can laugh or joke about it now, right? Such as the sway of my emotions in recording this. Yes, so 2-1 to Arsenal, and thankfully we saw it through. 2 own goals, but it's 3 points. I mean, do we really care? I guess not. I've talked myself into it now. Part of recording this so soon after the match is a form of self-therapy as well. And I've worked my way out of my initial frustration. So 2-1 to Arsenal. You just saw the looks on players' faces. They knew that that wasn't good enough. And I think we should take comfort in that. They all know that this is not a sustainable way to win football matches if you expect to win the Premier League. I think they all know that because how much possession we conceded after going ahead and in that run of 10 minutes prior to Wolves' goal, that wasn't good enough from Arsenal. The first half was not good enough from Arsenal. So it was a bizarre game, but big teams, championship winning teams, they find a way. And in that respect, Arsenal found a way. We grounded out and we got the result. It wasn't pretty, but was it effective? Yes, it was. I don't think it was helped by the referee. He allowed so much time wasting. He also allowed so many fouls to go unpunished. Huang, who I mentioned earlier, whilst I don't look, the actual incident itself, it looked horrible, of course, but on replays, it wasn't a clear-cut red card for me. I know maybe many of you would differ. However, if you look at how many fouls he was able to get away with earlier, it probably should have been a second yellow card. So he still should have, in that respect, how is he still on the pitch? There was another gentleman, Doherty, their defender, pardon me if I've got that wrong. There were more defenders as well who were just rotationally fouling, getting away with yellow cards. They only seem to be booked on their third or fourth foul. But how many times do Arsenal players, their first foul seems to be a yellow? So look, that's just a random aside right now. I don't want to go too much into the officiating stuff, but I thought that was, I don't think that was well handled by the referee. So as it turns out, we got the result. We got what we wanted, 3 points and relief more than anything. And I think many players now, they just need a breather. We've got a week off before Everton. We've got 7 days rest now until Everton next Saturday night, UK time, away to Everton at their new stadium. I think many players just need an easy couple of days. Just rest, recuperate, look after yourselves. They're going to watch the tape. They're all going to know and dissect it together and know that this was not good enough. But we've now got a little bit of breathing space, and we've got the benefit of now watching our rivals play on Sunday, knowing that we're 5 points ahead. We've played first. We've got the win, so it's over to them and just see what happens, see how they respond. Either way, come the end of the weekend, we're going to remain top of the Premier League table, and that's good enough for me for right now. I'm going to bring this frustrating recording to a close on that note. Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in wherever you are in the world. I greatly appreciate you watching and listening. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave me a comment. Let me know, how do you feel about it all? You can vent here as well. This is a safe space for Arsenal fans. If you're listening on audio, please follow the show. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That will be most appreciated, please. And yeah, enjoy, because at the end of the day, job done. On that note, I will sign off for now. Look after yourselves, check in with your loved ones, and come on, Arsenal.